If you're someone like me who isn't part of the 1% but has always wanted the experience of VR gaming, then research has probably led you to this nifty little device here known as the Oculus Quest. Turning 1 year old now, the Quest is basically the first all-in-one gaming VR headset that doesn't require having a PC to play or involves any of the hassle of setting up base stations thanks to its inside-out tracking. Now, I've had this since July of 2019, which was 2 months after its initial launch in May of 2019, so I basically can say that I've seen this headset's entire life cycle from its humble beginnings to what it is now. And some of you may ask, has it been worth it? Is it really all that it's been cracked up to be? Well, with this video today, hopefully, I'll be able to answer those questions. The first thing I'd like to show you is what the headset comes in. Now, I have the 128 gig model, which will cost you around $500, but there is a cheaper version which is only 64 gigs, but will cost you only about $400. However, everything in the box will be exactly the same. Now, this thing's goal is simplicity, and it shows all the way down to its own packaging. When you open the box, these are the only things that you'll find. The Quest itself. Notice the 4 cameras that enable the inside-out tracking with 6 degrees of freedom, 2 2nd-gen touch controllers, 2 AA batteries, manuals, a 3-meter USB Type-C to C cord and power brick, and finally an included extension for people who wear glasses, just to give them a little more room. But as you probably already guessed, the main components are the headset and controller themselves. Once your Quest is charged up, at this point, all you have to do is slip it on. A quick Guardian setup that only takes mere minutes to try and prevent you from smashing into things, keyword is try, 1 Oculus phone app download, and you're off into the world of virtual reality. Pretty sweet, huh? Now I'd like to talk about how this thing even works, how Oculus was basically able to fit a console inside this small headset without the need of a PC. Funny enough, this thing shares a lot in common with what you'd find in your average smartphone, running on a Snapdragon 835 chip with the OS being Android 7.1.1. Now don't be fooled, this thing is no joke. With two 1440 by 16000 OLED display panels for each eye and a smooth 72Hz, it provides an immersive experience that will keep you playing for hours. Now unfortunately, due to the Quest's current limitations, at most you'll only be able to get around 2 to 4 hours during each play session, but we'll get more on that later. We've talked about the hardware, we've talked about the unboxing, but now let's talk about the games. While first launching back in May of 2019, the Quest had a substantial lineup of 50 games, which is no joke. However, the amount of games it has now, thanks to time and the likes of the Oculus Link, that 50 is dwarfed in comparison. What games can you find on it? You'll find the likes of Superhot, Beat Saber, Vader Immortal, VR Chat, Robo Recall, and now in beta, but soon to come, Echo Arena. However, like mentioned previous, the amount of games you can find on the store is staggering, and for those who have a laptop or PC that at least have the ability to run some games, thanks to Oculus Link, you can plug your Quest into your PC or laptop, basically converting it into a full-blown PC VR headset, making your options at that point limitless. Now I know this all can sound a little too good to be true. It's all true, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its own drawbacks. It is a first version of its kind after all, and I'd like to go over a few of them, starting with the tracking. Oculus did a great job with the camera system and inside-out tracking. However, one advantage to having base stations hooked is the constant tracking no matter where your hands are. If you notice, when I put my hands outside of the camera, the tracking gets a bit wonky and floaty, and you're at the mercy of what the Quest predicts your hands are doing at that point. Luckily, there's not really any game you'll need to have your hands behind your back for extended periods of time, so it doesn't really affect your gameplay overall. One thing that is heavily affected by the Quest hardware, though, is game performance and graphical fidelity. Trying to fit the components needed to make this headset work without question must have been a challenge for Oculus. And what they did was the right call, however this does mean that the Quest has to sacrifice graphical quality to keep games running smooth and stable. And this even means that some games just won't even be ported to the Quest due to the fact that it just wouldn't be possible. VR titles are often bigger than your average console or PC game, and having to port that takes a lot of development time and work. Although that is a sour note for people who don't have the ability to use Oculus Link, that doesn't mean the experience they have will be any less fun. One benefit VR will always have over normal 2D games is ultimate immersion. Even when the game isn't looking the best, if it's good enough and plays good enough, you'll be truly immersed no matter how much the sand looks like a Minecraft texture. Not to mention the people around you are half the experience. When you have people who are just as tuned as you, it makes it all the better. Speaking of experiences, this will be my final con with the Quest. Now when you're buying an app in VR, you're either getting one of two things. You're getting a full-blown game, or you're getting an experience. Now experience, simply put, is less so of a game and more so of a showcase of what you can do in VR. If you really want to boil it down, you can call it an interactable movie. Now, these can be great for people who are just getting into VR or people who haven't necessarily developed their VR fish legs yet, but for people who have been playing for years and are VR enthusiasts and just looking for more, that's not really going to help them come back because once you've done it once, you've basically seen all that it offers. And I know I've definitely had my fair share of purchases that, although were cool and great the first few runs, after that it's kind of like I didn't really need to buy this. And so when it seems like that's all you can get, it can really kind of stagnate and make you lose your interest in VR. But like with most things, it usually just takes time for a game to come out, or maybe you find something on the side quest, or you find something on the Oculus store that really keeps you in. You just have to be patient and look for more game releases that come down the line. Now I know that I said this would be my last grade, but these next few points are just going to be minor things that vary from person to person. One thing that a lot of people tend to say is that the headset can get rather front heavy after a lot of use. Personally, I've never had a problem with this, and I think that's due to the fact that I just happen to have a big head. Bigger the head, less of a problem, I suppose. Each controller, as I mentioned earlier, comes with AA batteries, and they don't die super fast, but heavy use will drain them. So I would suggest buying rechargeable AA's as soon as possible to avoid the need of having to stack up on AA's every few weeks. So far I've covered a ton of information, and I wouldn't even say I'm close to done yet, but I think that just goes to show how much you're getting with this little package. I've yet to touch on the things like hand tracking or the groundbreaking pass-through mode that come built into the Quest, and there are many other things that you'll find along the way that just make your experience more enjoyable. Looking back on a year of Oculus Quest, I can honestly say I've never had a time where I looked at my headset and thought, I really regret this. It's been some of the most fun I've had in years, and it's made a lot of memories that I'm never going to forget. Heck, it's even influenced some of my friends to go out and purchase their own headsets, and many more who are interested in joining me in my VR escapades. So after a year of Oculus Quest, I can say that, yeah, it's without a question worth it. You get the limitless games, the amazing VR experience, the reliable customer support of Oculus, and so many other things that you just don't realize until you've truly immersed yourself in it. In a world where people still view VR as a gimmick when truly it's much more than that, it can seem like it's kind of a risk to go on and purchase something like this, but I guarantee you, not just from me, but countless other people who have purchased the Oculus Quest, you're going to have a great time and you're never going to regret this purchase. Anyway, guys, that's it for this review. Oculus, thank you again for a year of amazing VR. You've given a chance of people like me who just didn't have the funds to be able to immerse themselves in the VR world in ways we never imagined before. Now I'm a true VR enthusiast, and I'll always recommend getting something like a Quest to people who aren't really sure about their purchase. I hope to see you guys in the virtual world, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.